Welcome to another episode of Ready5 TV. I'm Joe Ready.
And I'm John. Just John.
Today we're going to talk about the 11 domains that make up the Ready5 program. And this is what makes us a little bit different than everybody else out there who writes a book or has a philosophy about survival.
Or sells gear.
Or just sells gear, right?
Yeah, gear and kits.
Right. So when we were designing the program years ago, we decided to break it up into the 11 domains that we need to take care of. So as I go through them, remember that we have to take care of each one of these. Or if there's a weakness in one of these, they all kind of come tumbling down.
Right, because as you start working through the domain of preparedness, each one of these domains comes to depend on other domains.
And so what's the use of breaking them up in domains? Focus. It gives us focus and an understanding of how things work, okay? And when we talk about food and water, which is the first one I'm going to talk about, we can then focus not on guns and not on equipment, but food and water and everything it means to have food and water available for us to survive.
Right. As in, at a fundamental level, what are the basic sets or the basic concerns that we have to take care of? As in, what do we care about, and then how do we start in each one of those?
Absolutely.
So food and water is a great place to start.
So yeah, and that's why now they all exist, and they all rely on each other. They don't really come in order, but they all must exist, or else they begin to fall apart. So let's talk with food and water, and these are strategies, skills for the procurement and storage and distribution of the basic sustenance we require. So on food and water, there's different ways you can actually grow it yourself. You can procure it yourself. You can buy it, or you can store it. Okay. So that is food and water. We throw them together because they are the essential elements our bodies need to exist. Next is medicine and first aid. And this is basically keeping you and your body running like it needs to run.
In addition to dealing with trauma.
Yeah. Trauma in any kind of disaster or crisis situation, people are going to have cuts, they're going to have bumps, bruises, broken bones, sickness, all that good stuff. And understanding how we can keep our body running and in shape is extremely important. Because that's what it's all about. We want to survive, we want to live, right?
In this domain, it's more than just, oh, I have a stash of antibiotics or Band-Aids. Right? The skill of knowing what to use when and what is important is key.
That's the reason we have doctors and nurses, right? Next one is personal protection. Okay, this is a big one, and this one is one that a lot of people focus on. They think I've got a gun in the house, I've got a dog, whatever. But it is physically protecting you and your family using security principles, self-defense skills, weapons, firearms, and whatever you can find to keep harm from you and your body and your family, your loved ones. It's pretty big. And they're all kind of big by themselves. In Ready5, we start with the basic body and personal self-defense. What are the principles of it? What are the principles of security? We go into situational awareness, but that's actually, we break that in its own domain here. But using your body, using whatever weapons you can find, and of course, preparing. To prepare is you want to use the best weapon you can find. Again, there's a lot to this one. That's personal protection. Okay. Next is shelter, and this is coping effectively with the physical environment. This means it might be a roof over your head, it might be a tent over your head, it might mean the clothing that you're wearing. All of this gives you protection from the elements, protection from cold and heat, bugs, just whatever it is. Threats. Any threats to you and your body, shelter is a big one there. So. Situational awareness and anticipation. This is a really interesting one in that you've got to know what's going on. I mean, you can't live in your own little bubble in a cave thinking that I'm going to be fine when the world around you is just falling apart or fires are happening, and you know, we can take a cue from the animals here. Animals listen, they smell, they know what's going on, they pay attention to what's happening, and we should be the same way in that we notice what's happening around us, we adjust to it, and we survive.
Of all of the domains, it can be argued when we talked about, or any of these first, it can be argued that situational awareness and anticipation is the first domain. The reason is because if we didn't have the awareness of the mechanics that we see unfolding in our society right now, we wouldn't even be doing this.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of the very fact that someone is watching this video, right? They've already been working in that domain of situational awareness. They're going, what's happening? We've been noticing that more and more people we talk to, people are sensing there's something wrong. There's something wrong, there's something going on. And you can tell by, for example, the sales in the firearms industry. The firearms industry is booming right now, despite the hard economy. And I think that's driven because people are sensing that something is wrong, something is going to happen, and they're trying to prepare. Right? Now, specifically in the 11 domains, we actually teach the skill of how to actually develop situational awareness and how to anticipate, based on mechanics and determinism and all that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Good. Next is communications. This is effectively coordinating between you and your family in the event of crisis, disaster, or just normal day-to-day living. So why is communication so big? Well, anybody who's focused on survival has to work as a team. The weakest link in any group is going to be the individual. Team working together is going to be stronger than any one individual, and communication allows those teams to work together. Yeah, we've got cell phones, cool, you know, we can call each other, text each other, and do all those cool things, and then what happens when power goes out? What happens when, for some reason, cell phone reception goes out?
Or circuits are preempted.
Yeah. So communication, the domain takes care of, you know, what are the many methods of communicating, and how do we do it smartly, succinctly, and powerfully, and at the same time, building your own communication security around it. That's communication.
And that one important thing to point out about communication is people think, oh yeah, I know how to communicate. No, to communicate well and effectively is a skill that must be developed.
And strong communication comes from the next domain, which is planning. Planning this also is a skill. It is a long-term plan for what happens if there's an earthquake, what happens if there's fires, what happens if there's a pandemic, what happens what are we going to do? What are the trigger points? Where are we going to go? What are we going to store up? How are we going to communicate? And then there's also a skill in planning for short-term emergencies. We had a power outage in the Southwest a month or two back, and nobody saw that coming. It was just like right out of the blue. How do you plan in 5 minutes? So what is the process? What do we do? So that is planning. Planning? Planning.